Okay, so let's have this topic, the sample proportion. So a sample proportion is a random variable that varies from sample to sample in a way that cannot be predicted with certainty. And to check if the sample is sufficiently large, so using this formula, then take note that the interval is within 0 and 1. So we have this problem. So a random sample of size n produce a sample proportion p as shown. So in each case, decide whether or not the sample size is large enough to assume that the sample proportion p is normally distributed. So we have now our sample size, that's 40, and the sample proportion, that's 0.45. So using this formula to solve for the interval, so P, that's 0.45 minus 3 times the square root of P, that's 0.45 times 1 minus 0.45 over the sample size, so over 40. And the other one, that's 0.45 plus 3 times the square root of 0.45 times 1 minus 0.45 over 40. So to solve now, we need to simplify this one first, this equation inside the radical. So using calculator, so we have 1 minus 0.45 equals, then times 0.45 equals, then divide by 40, it's 0.0062. So this one is 0.0062, and also this equation, that's 0.0062. So to solve now for the interval, so we have this 0.45 minus 3 times the square root of 0.0062, so that's 0.21. And for this interval, so we have 0.45, then plus 3 times the square root of 0.0062, it's 0.69. So this is now the interval, that's 0.21 and 0.69. Since within the interval 0 and 1, so therefore this sample is sufficiently large because within the interval 0 and 1. Then for this given, so sample size 40, then the sample proportion is 0.13. So the same formula. So substitute now all the values. So P is 0.13, then minus 3 times the square root of 0.13 times 1 minus 0.13 over 40, that's the sample size. Then the other one, that's 0.13 plus 3 times P, that's 0.13 times 1 minus 0.13 over 40. So again, solve this one first, the equation inside the radical. So using calculator, we have 1 minus 0.13 equals times 0.13 equals, then divide by 40, it's 0.0028. And also this equation, that's 0.0028. So to solve now for the interval, it's 0.13, so minus 3 times the square root of 0.0028, it's negative 0.03. And the other one, that's 0.13 plus 3 times the square root of 0.0028, it's 0.29. Now, since the interval is outside the interval 0 and 1 because we have this negative. So therefore, this sample is not large enough because not within the interval 0 and 1 because of this negative 0.03.